you don't know. And if you don't ask questions to know what you don't know, you won't know. And what you don't know might keep you stuck for a very long time. Okay? Question is very, very powerful. If you look at the life of Christ in the Gospels, a lot of time Christ unveils some incredible truths about the kingdom of God and the lifestyle of Christians. Is because people ask questions. So if you are here, please, if you are shy to talk for whatever reason, I will really encourage you to type your question down. You can do it privately to me if you don't want others to see, but I don't believe there's any need for you to be shy here. We're here to learn. We're here to be better. So be very open to ask any questions relating to what we've talked about today, because by asking questions, you get better insight, better information. You'll be more educated, more informed. And then somebody else as well might benefit from your question that you're going to be asking. So don't just keep it to yourself. Let's remove every form of shyness in this meeting today and just be real and ask your questions. Okay? All right. So I've got some questions as well here that have come in. So one of the questions is, how do you manage your parents' expectation of what they want you to do compared to what you want to do? Because for me, this has caused some significant problem with my parents. How do you manage expectation with your parents of what they want you to do, and then what you want to do based on, obviously this person is asking, they have something they want to do, but it's challenging letting their parents know that this is what they want to do. So they're asking, how do you manage that so that it won't be seen as maybe you are disrespecting your parents or you're not listening to your parents, that balance. Okay, so I think I will open up this to bro Shegun. Maybe you'll start there, bro Yakuba, so we can put some flesh to the answers. So bro Shegun, please, how do you respond to this?
So I would say there's no straightforward answer to this question. It depends on where both of you are coming from. It also depends on the maturity of the person, the students themselves. So parents always want the best for their children, and they want a secured future for their children. There's no parent that wants their ward or children to fail. So they seek the best. However, maybe due to lack of knowledge, or should I say when I say lack of knowledge, I mean lack of exposure to current practices, they may wrongly advise. So first of all, Bro John and Bro Yakubu, they've told us the latest in technology. So if you now say you want to be a cybersecurity, you want to do cybersecurity, you want to do computer science and cybersecurity, a parent that is not exposed enough or knowledgeable of current trends will say, no, you can't make money there. I want you to be a lawyer. I want you to be a doctor. And from current trends that as a cybersecurity expert, you could be better off than a lawyer or a doctor. So it's not left to you as a person to convince your parents. And it's so easy nowadays. You just need to go online and show your parents cybersecurity, payment, salary, which is what the parents are thinking about. So bring out the pay scale of a cybersecurity expert or that job you want to do if their concern for you is the pay. And print out, it's all available online, the salary of a doctor or of a lawyer and job prospects, and say, Dad, Mom, I know you want me to be comfortable, but look, because you want me to make money, these are the differences. Or you say, or you tell your parents, I want to be an app developer. I say, app developer, you want to be doing games instead of you to become a doctor. And you tell your dad and you say, look, you bring them the evidence. As an app developer, within 2 years, I can become a millionaire. It will take me a while to become a millionaire as a consultant medical doctor. So there's no straightforward answer to this. It depends on where but if, let's say you say, oh, mom, I want to be, I don't know, I want to do a job which everybody knows from what we've learned today is replaceable in future, is becoming extinct, but you, maybe because your friends are doing it, you don't have a good reason for doing it. Or maybe because an uncle did it and you like the way he did it, and that's your reason. So maybe you should make more research on that and listen to your parents, and you both come together. Also, very importantly, thank God for a ministry like us. We've got youth leaders, and you can see we've got youth leaders that have vast experience in many of these things. We have people in the medical, technology, computer science, legal, everywhere. Ask them for advice, and they can advise you rightly. And yeah, I think the other speakers will have more to add to that.
Okay. But John, Bayakubo, any?
Well, I think you've given the right answer to it. It's a case by case thing, and we need to basically know the reason why the parents would say no. Because money is one thing, but sometimes it's not just money. There are some parents that it's just a matter of ego. It's just a matter of posterity. I'm a medical doctor and I have a hospital, so I want my first son to be a medical doctor. So when I die and I'm gone, then he can inherit the hospital.
Okay, my brother, just there's a question that say the key here. Say, I'm going to be a final year student in uni, as a final year law student in uni, but I love coding so much. But I love coding so much. My parents were a family of lawyers, and my parents wants me to be a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer. I hate all these things about lawyer, but I love coding, and it's a big challenge for me. I have decided when I graduate, I will give them the certificate and do my own thing.
It appears like I've seen the question when I was making my case. Because that is the thing. I would say to that person now, on a more specific note, I would say to that person, do the law degree, do it with all passion and do it with all attention and diligence and finish it successfully. Your success in the law degree might mean success in other areas. You want to go into coding, that's absolutely fantastic. While you're doing your law degree, lots of things have changed. You can also master your coding whilst you're studying as a lawyer. And you can finish law degree and you practice that your law and you combine it with information technology in an IT firm. And that is the truth about it. IT cuts across all sectors. If somebody tells me the same thing that my parents or I'm studying medicine and I still want to do IT, go for it. These things, you can actually do lots of blending. Finish the law degree. I don't want to say it's unfortunate. It is fortunate you're in final year. That's what your parents wanted. And you've actually obeyed them to final year. Don't just look down. Finish it and finish it very, very highly. But whilst you're doing it, you can learn coding online. You can learn Python, you can learn R, you can learn the different skills, C++, C#. You can learn these things. Master them, finish your law degree, and you see that when you combine the law degree and the IT skill you've learned along the way, you will excel. There is no doubt about it. And your parents will appreciate the fact that, yes, you've chosen the right passion and cause for yourself.
Yeah, just to add to that as well, or give a slightly different spin on it. I think, like the brothers have said, absolutely, most people end up doing that, doing something for their parent and then eventually start doing something for yourself. But I believe, like Bro Shegun pointed out, that every parent wants what's best for their children, right? And they're genuinely interested in what's best. So now they could be genuinely wrong due to lack of all the reasons we spoke about, lack of exposure, whatever. So, but I think that, if you're mature enough, have a mature conversation based on what's best for you. And what I mean by that is the common ground. You differ on what courses, right? You differ on what to do. You differ on where to live. But the common ground is, Dad or Mom, I believe, you can start with that. I believe you want what's best for me. And I'm, I firmly believe that this is an area I'm passionate. Make your case. I believe no parent is irrational to the point that they will do anything but see you, happy and fulfilled in what you do. I'm going to share a quick story. Just maybe you can glean a thing or two from this. So I'm from a family of three boys, right? So out of in my family, I'm the only one that went to uni, or should I say, I'm the only one that finished university. Now, my youngest brother, he went to uni, and he was actually studying computer science. He always enjoyed that. So he was studying computer science. And when he got to, I think, first or second year, I think it was second year of uni, he just said, he wanted to go. He'd spoken to a few professionals in the space, and they were like, well, to be honest, your degree doesn't give you much anyway. And he got some advice, some solid advice from people that I know and trust. And they said, look, here are what you need to do. Here are some key steps, right? Now, it's up to you if you want to carry on. You're already in second year, totally up to you. But, here are really what you should do. And so he came home that summer. I remember him speaking to my parents and was like, well, there's no point in me carrying on. Like, I might as well just go and do what I need to do. What's the point in going the long way around when I can go the short way? And as you can imagine, from every typical African parent, they were like, absolutely not. And they start referring, your brother went to uni and, all of that. They start, listening out and comparing you to everybody else out there, right? But anyway, so again, coming back to the point, have a conversation about that common ground. And he had that conversation. And as Bro Yakubu was pointing out, their own rationale was not because they wanted him to be a computer scientist. My parents don't even have a clue what that is. But really, their rationale was, we just want to see that you're settled down, you've got a job, you can look after that. That's most parents' pride and joy, right? You're not coming back and asking me for money when you've left uni. I don't want that. So he said, okay, here's the deal. Well, how much will I earn when I finish this degree? I think they came to some sort of an agreement. I don't know, it was 28K or whatever, right, as a first job. So he said, well, if you can do something over the summer and you make 28K, and we're happy that that's an income to start with, then you have, it's your choice whether you carry on or not. And so, based on that common interest, he came home that summer, and as you can imagine, he was more focused than ever because he didn't want to go back in the third year. So he came home and started looking for short-term internships, short-term contract. And I think he finally got one, which was only about 2 or 4 weeks, with a sort of IT service as a software as a service company. Just did some internship with them. Anyway, from one thing led to another, he eventually got a job with Shell that got him past that mark before September. And so September came, they had to sit down again and say, okay, what are you going to do? It was like, this was the deal at the start of the summer. Are you going to keep your part? And as good Christian parents, they have to abide by their promise. So they let him start the job, but they kept hammering is like, you must finish in Open University. You must just finish that degree in Open University. So he said, okay, that's fine. So he enrolled in Open University at some point. Anyway, just to cut the long story short, because I'm conscious of time. Till today, he's never gone back. He's never done his Open University, and he's happy, and they're happy. So have that noble conversation about the common ground that you both have.
Bro, Chinda, can I just say quickly about that person, that law student?
Yeah.
If I was an employer and I have two applicants, both of them are coders, and one of them has a law degree, I would prefer a lawyer coder.
Yes.
As a coder, or I don't know what you call them, as a coder, if you have a law degree, there are so many things you can do with it. One, if you have your own code, you can legally protect your rights. You can legally protect your codes and everything you've invented. And you can protect it so well that you can get the best, you can maximize your profits. Two, do you know that there's a lot of codes that will be needed in the law profession? That's only because as a lawyer yourself, you would know as I'm a medical person now, and each time I start thinking, I wish there was a code for this. We keep talking about codes for this because I'm in the profession. So as a lawyer yourself, you know so many things that you can make that will need codes in the law profession. So having a degree and a knowledge in law will help you to fashion out codes that will be useful in that profession that a normal coder, is that what you call it, Bro John?
Programmer, basically.
Programmer, thank you. But a normal programmer will not know how to code. So it's another advantage. I have my present medical director, so of course he's a medical doctor. He has a lot of interest in IT. And do you know his main job is designing programs for the department. He's a medical doctor,
but he likes to design. Myself and him, we talk a lot. We talk about design. Anytime we see problems in the department, we try to see how can we get around this, and we start thinking. He's the one that does the IT part. We will bring the ideas, and he will design a program around it. So take that law as like Bro Balogun said, use it to earn money while you do your coding, and 2, use it to develop codes in law, and 3, use it to even protect your own codes, and then offer legal services to other programmers to protect their own programs. So you can make money extra with your law degree.
Thank you very much. Another question here. How can you change your career after you have started a job that you have been waiting for a long time after graduation, even though the job is boring?
Who's taking that one?
I think this is open. Everybody is laughing.
Okay, let me jump on that about change of career. I've had to leave my job twice in my life. When I left uni, getting a job was really tasky and difficult in Nigeria. I was teaching, and a big place where I got the job was in a bank. I got a bank in Nigeria in UBA, and I didn't stay to do the job. Because I had a conversation with my elder brother, and the conclusion we had was, you're not going to be happy. You're from engineering and geoscience background, and you want to go sit and in the bank. But the point is, it's taking a long time to get this job. It's taking a long time to get this job. Write interviews, aptitude tests, do interview, and here am I, this is the job, and I have to leave the job. But I didn't take the job. I left the job, and I came to the UK to do a master's program. I finished a master's program. I was in Nigeria. I started working, and I just showed you a pipeline. That's the kind of thing we do. We monitor the pipeline. But I know this job is going to be obsolete. And even if it won't be obsolete, as this person said, it's terribly boring. Not for the kind of brain that I have. All I do is to go and be looking for leakage and see if there's oil pouring from the pipeline in Rivers State, in Port Harcourt, and all those bushes. That's not what I want to do with this life God has given me. And then I left my job. It was crazy. Like, there's no job in Nigeria and you're leaving your job. I left my job. However, I'm not saying you're leaving your job, because when I left my job and I was coming again to the UK, I had a full scholarship. So I was going to be my doctorate degree, they will pay, and they will pay me every month stipend whilst I'm doing my doctorate. So it was a kind of a different scenario. It's not like I'm leaving my job for nothing. Unlike the first time where I left my job and coming to the UK without knowing how I would really get by. So the first thing is this. If you know in your mind that you're not happy, it's boring, before you leave the job, get ready for where you're going. Get to know where you're going is very, very key. Now we're discussing a lot about transformation, digital transformation and all that. You can actually develop this skill while you are on that job that you're in. And that's the fact about it. There are lots of things you can start learning as we speak. Python is an open source programming language. Arrow is open source. Lots of these things, they are free. Download them on your computer. And the time and the megabytes you spend watching Netflix and YouTube movies, spend it learning these things and practice these things. Learn data analysis, learn machine learning, learn artificial intelligence, how to program a robot, how to design a game, how to analyze data, if that is what you want to do. Whatever it is you want to do, start to learn it. And how can you develop competence? You can register on some freelance websites and begin to see, test, run, just test the waters to see if you're making sense. So give something out and let people see. It will build your confidence where you are going. Remember, you're still working in the boring job. It's boring, but it's paying the bills for now. Stay put, but still be learning the other thing. It will get to a time where you know you're ready, you can move. Some persons will say to you, they completely had to quit. Their story might be different. They might have a way to get by financially and otherwise. If you don't, and you're not ready to take the risk of living where you are without any assurance of where you're going, do a little bit more preparation. Let your preparation really be solid. But besides preparation, conviction is another thing that is very key. Because if it doesn't work, it is you that will suffer, and that's the truth. The motivational speaker that spoke you into changing will not be there. But if it works, they will take glory that I motivated this person, and this person moved and transited. But if it fails, they are not going to take credit. They are not going to just share in the blame. People share only in credits. Nobody share blames with you. So be sure, be convinced, and be ready to take full charge and responsibility for whatever happened when you make the move to quit what you're doing. I don't know if I've been able to make some sense.
Yes, yes, you have. And I want to just say,
yes, you have.
yes, I just wanted to, add one or two things there. You see, me personally, I'm from a family. My dad wanted me to be a medical doctor, and my brother is a medical doctor. He's got a hospital in Port Harcourt, a couple of nurses in the family, and they saw me as someone that is going to follow that path, okay? And I was interested in it. I followed it. I graduated as a biomedical scientist here, and I was working. But I want you to know that, just look at the screen. You can see an arrow, all right? You can see an arrow. There's something you need to understand about yourself. That's what we call knowing yourself from personality-wise. And those that know me, I'm a sanguine melancholic. And if you know the strength of a sanguine, and you know the melancholic, they blend. There are careers that it's not I cannot do it, but I can't just go and do it. So why being a biomedical scientist, right? I just looked at these things. I said, okay, it's a great career. People can be doing it. I have my friends still working in NHS and stuff. But if you see somebody like me, one of my personality traits is that I love change. If something that is not changing and something that is not challenging me a lot, I'll feel bored, and I don't think I'm using my brain capacity enough. So understanding who you are is very powerful. And if you know that, you'll be able to know your strengths. So, Brashoko talked about strength. I will talk about strength and weaknesses. I know my weaknesses. I know my strength. And I know where I will thrive and be incredible. Now, coming into IT, this is why I love IT. And I don't think I'm going to go away from this place. Because of the kind of personality I have, every day is different. Things are changing very fast. And knowing that technologies are coming up all the time. And you need to think on your feet. I love that. And the reason why I love that is because that's me. That is Chinder. That is the way God made me. I can't change who I am. So those personality traits of loving change and looking at things that I be challenging and I can task and push me. If you put me there, that is me. But if you go and put me somewhere that I'm going to be doing something, the same thing over and over again, and be honest with you, it's like I'm dead. I don't like it because that's not who I am. So you that is coming, and one of the key things I have done for myself is take personality test, know my strength, know my weaknesses, know the kind of job that will flow. And I don't get anything about speaking, talking. It's natural to me. This is who I am. I can't change that. You see what I mean? Anything motivated, that is me. I can't change that. And it's because of who God made me. So you don't have to be like me. You don't have to do my own career. No, you don't have to. So you knowing who you are, understanding the strength that you have, it will enable you to go into either to be a doctor, to be an analyst, to be a leader, to be this, to be that. That will help you. Now, going into the medical field, yes, I can become a great doctor, right? You need compassion and all that. That's part of the trait of a sanguine. But there's an aspect of it that for me personally, I wouldn't feel comfortable. I started a PhD in Imperial College. I know most of you don't know that. Now, I asked myself, I was talking to the professor and I said, Professor Green from Harvard. I was supposed to go to Harvard to do my postdoc when I graduate. When we started, and I asked myself, why am I doing this? Is it because of the name? Am I going to sit in the lab with these test tubes and microscope and doing research for the rest of my life? Going to America, going to Harvard, because it was a collaboration research program. But brothers and sisters, I pray. I knew that doing that was almost like an ego kind of thing. It wasn't me. I resigned. I didn't continue. I told the professor, I won't. It was 8 people. It was a very tedious process. I'm the only black. The rest are all white and Chinese and Indians. But they took me with full scholarship and everything. But you know what? That is not who I am. I was just doing it because of maybe accolade and whatever, going to Harvard and the name and everything. But that's not who I am. And I'm very happy and satisfied by the grace of God today. So what I'm trying to say just about this is that it's important to know your strength that God has given to you, your weaknesses going to you. Know where you cannot thrive. There's no point killing yourself and dying there. Know what you can do. Know your personality. Know those areas and find yourself there. You are going to thrive. And I pray that as we do that, God is also going to help us. I have one more question here. I'm a graduate of mechanical engineering, a manufacturing option. You say, what are the IT skills do I need to be relevant in my field in this fourth industrial revolution? Okay, so bro, John and Yakubu, he said he's a mechanical engineering manufacturing option. What are the mechanical skills that will make him relevant in that fourth industrial generation?
So if you're an engineer, mechanical, maybe production, automobile, or wherever, in the slide when John was presenting, you will see we're talking about process. You could see robots doing these things. Now, all of these robots, they've got an underlying computer program that runs them, that controls them. Just one semicolon missing can actually dismember the robots and it won't function very well. Just only one space bar, just shift the space bar, change the indent, that's a problem. So what that means is that there are very, very intricate codes that are running in the background. There are people that run these things. And you can see lots of robotic manufacturing happening. These things actually would definitely spoil sometimes. Besides that, to design this thing that they want to produce. You see robots joining things together. It's not the robot that actually designed it. It requires cognition, it requires human to design it. And you just program the robot to be joining it, garbage in, garbage out. All the robot does is, when we talk about automation, digital transformation, remember what we're saying is actually repetitive tasks are what we automate. There are some tasks that you keep doing the same thing over and over again. You don't need to think, you just do it. You just do it. Say, for example, my job is to be sending email from a particular website every day. If I'm a company, I'm not going to employ nobody to do that. I will write a code using UiPath. We call it robotic process automation. The code will go to the website, pull all the information, put it inside an email, forward the email at a particular time every day. That's a repetitive task. For a mechanical engineer, learn and make sure that your study is not limited to what they give to you in the classroom. Advance it outside the classroom to be knowing what will be repetitive, and do not major in any repetitive task. Make sure you do things that could be innovative and creative. If you do something innovative and creative, there is no way you're going out, because robots cannot come with the creation and the innovation. The cognition where humans can think, the robots don't have that for now. So it is humans that will think, design, innovate, create, and tell robot, go and execute. So that's the way it is, if you know what I mean. And also, even operating these robots, you need to get hands-on skill on how to write computer programs. A very easy way to start is Python. I started with Python as well. I don't really do R programming. I don't do C++, C#, HTML, and all those JavaScript. I don't do web development. But machine learning, data science, data analytics, that is what I enjoy. So Python is the main thing that I talk about. And with Python, you can do a lot. I mean, there is just a lot. So get to know these things. And now this computer, this IT works in the space where you measure. And I think you'll be fine. Trust me, you will.
There's a question here for John. It says, how can you learn those new age digital skills you talked about, like critical thinking, emotional intelligence? Is there a resource or where you can guide us to learn them? How do you learn these things?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Like I said in the presentation, a lot of the technical skills, are things that you go to university for, you study. But a lot of the other skills, it's more really about ability and things that you can read books on emotional intelligence. There's lots of resources out there about, for example, emotional intelligence, how to be more emotionally sensitive, especially when you're dealing with people. But a lot of this really will come from experience. A lot of these skills will come from you exercising it. Like we talked about critical thinking, for example. you just think critical thinking, what is that, just me thinking? No, critical thinking is something that, yes, you can learn, you know, how to ask the right questions. So for example, critical thinking is about how you ask questions that trigger you down a different path to the status quo, right? So you can learn those things, but really it's about the application of those in your day-to-day life. Because over time, what you will find is that those skills are not field specific. Does that make sense? So it's not like if you're in medicine now, you're not going to use critical thinking, or if you're in IT, no, those skills are irrelevant of your field. You know, I believe there are some skill set that will make you stand out, regardless of what, you know, whether you do this job or you do that job, regardless of the job. A lot of soft skills that, you know, in terms of our technical skills are transferable anyway. So a lot of what, you know, the brothers have spoken about today, they're transferable skills, but the skill sets that you need to make you relevant are the ones that you can read about, but really you develop by practice. I can give some resources, you know, if that person wants some resources on to sort of what books to read, how to ask the right questions, you know, those sort of things, fine. But actually, I think it's, you know, for example, we talked about cognitive flexibility. This is your ability to learn and adapt. I can't teach you how to learn and adapt. You have to just practice to learn and adapt. Does that make sense? So those things are, you have to put yourself in the situation to learn and to develop, because ultimately that's what's going to make you stand out.
Okay, there's another question here, but Shegun, we say, you know, I want to know whether in our church, do they support the teaching of mind change? I want to know in our church, do they support the teaching of mind change, and how do we do this?
Yes, we do. In short, yes, we do. And if there's any other church that supports it, it is our church. Most times we don't call it mind change. Most times, recently we have been preaching. We've talked about mindsets in the church as well. We have talked about fixed and growth mindsets in the church. But most times we don't. You will hear from most in the past. Most times you will hear from the pulpit. You will hear mind change or mindset. I believe the person meant mindset by saying mind change.
Mindset, yes, mindset, I think.
So most times you won't hear that from the pulpit. What you will hear is having faith and believing God and trusting God to turn things around. So if there's any ministry that talks more about a change of mindset, I think our ministry talks a lot about it, but it doesn't come in the way of a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Most of the time, the church talks about having faith, believing you can do it, believing you can improve your life. But recently, for example, I know in Yorkshire, we've spoken about mindset. We've talked to our youth. We've talked even about among the leadership. We've talked about the various mindsets. So we do talk about it. Yeah.
Just to add to that as well, you know, I know, like Bro Shegun said, we talk about it, but maybe in a different language, or maybe not the language that most people understand, right? When the Bible talks about renewing of your mind, you know, that's what it means. When you're born again, the spirit man, the inner man changes, but your mind is still the same mind that you had. Your mind has never changed, right? The way you used to think was always the way you used to think. If you had a sort of mediocre mindset, you can be the most born again person on your way to heaven, and you could be living in poverty because all your mind knows is, I have to work very, very hard. If I don't do 12-hour shifts, I don't have 10 jobs, I will not make it. That is your mind. Now, when the Bible talks about renewing your mind, now one thing the Bible doesn't do, and maybe a lot of young people, including myself, would have loved it to do, is give us tactics. The Bible will never say, for example, go and do cybersecurity. I mean, it never existed in those days, right? Or go and be a speaker, all those sort of things. Now, what it gives us is principles. And it's not too dissimilar to when I was talking about the skill set earlier. Those skill sets are not like, here you go and read this book. We'd want them very quick. Go and read this book and then suddenly you can make $10 million. No, it's principles that you apply over time. So when he talks about renewing your mind, and he talks about, you know, as a man thinketh, so he is. Now, there's a book called that, but that book was actually based on the Bible principles. Yeah. So again, all of these are talking about the need for us, not just, yes, reading the Bible, definitely we can glean principles, but there'll be some other guides, some other study guides, maybe some other circular guides that will take those principles and make it relevant for our day here where we live in. So in terms of does the church talk about it? Well, this is an example of the church talking about mindset today, right? So this is an example of us saying, now it's not, we know it's not just enough for you to be born again. it's more that you also renew your mind in the area of your secular life and your professional and your career.
Thank you very much. The church talks about it a lot. In fact, our pastor talked about it today. Pastor W.F. Kumie, we're listening to a sermon, how to, confronting different situations in your life. And he talked about Numbers chapter 13. And he talked about the 10 spies. The 10 spies, Joshua and Caleb, they have the spirit, we can do it. Their mind is a growth mindset. They believe because they've seen what God have done over the years, and they know that, look, we can conquer this land. We can take over this land. So that is mindset. So Joshua and Caleb mindset was a growth mindset. They believed the power and the mercy of God will give them the victory. But you see the other guys, that was fear, that was trembling them, doubt, and all these things associate. They don't want to change. They just want to remain where they are. It made them very little. And then also, if you look at the children of Israel, when they came out of the land of Egypt, the mindset they have, a little thing they want to go back. A little thing they want to go back. Oh, please, let's go back and eat the cucumber in Egypt. The mindset of the Egyptians dominated their mind. So in spite of all the teachings of Moses and the guidance of God and instructions, some of them still have the mindset of Egypt. And that mindset of Egypt is they want to continue the way they have always been. And that is why God was a little bit uncomfortable with these people. And sometimes he even want to destroy them. He want to just wipe them out. And then Moses will pray and say, God, please, please. What are people going to say? Look at all local around you. They're going to mock you. They'll think you brought them out to wipe them out here. Because God was just so uncomfortable with the kind of mindset they have. And that was talking about the circumcision of the heart. All these things is the embodiment of the mindset that they've gone through the 400 years in Egypt, and they almost wanted to start acting like that. So when you have a fixed mindset, you will move forward, okay? Even when God is giving you a new direction, a new dimension of how he's going to take your life forward, you will still be stuck thinking about, oh no, I'm comfortable with it. This is where I want to be. So if you look at throughout the Bible, I can begin to give you cases that, yes, like we say here, the church may not mention fixed mindset or growth mindset or all these terminologies, but in the Bible there is littered with people with fixed mindset and people with growth mindset. Paul the Apostle had a growth mindset. If you look at Philippians chapter 3, he said, I have not arrived. I still press forward. I want more of God's power, grace, love, godliness. I just want more. That's a growth mindset. So as a believer, you need to have a growth mindset. In fact, if you don't have a growth mindset, you will know more and you will not grow more. And let's take that in our career, in our jobs, in whatever we do. Growth means you are growing, you are increasing, and you are going higher. So let's take this last one before we finish. I think this for Shegun. So they're saying you talked about emphasis, and you talked about emphasis. As how can someone that have graduated get into the emphasis?
Wow. In fact, that is the best way to get into the armed forces in the United Kingdom. I will not advise you to go into the armed forces with a GCSE or A level. There are options. After your GCSE, you could go to Harrogate. There's a military school there. It's a college for those who are not very academically inclined. There is a college for military school there where you get paid once you start, but then you're starting from the bottom. It's a good way, it's a good option, but I would rather, a better option is to finish your degree. So whatever your passion is, so if you went that way, you're going to the military as an undergraduate. So you're just going as a the way we call them, a recruit and a non-commissioned officer. But if you have your own degree, whatever you study, even medicine, law, engineering, cybersecurity, if you have very good degree and you go into the military with that, wow, you're made. So how do you get into the military with your degree? So while in medical school, while you're doing your degree, I showed you the UCAS. If you go to UCAS and click on military there, when I was doing the seminar earlier on, if you go in there, you can apply straight through UCAS. So as a student, as an undergraduate, you can join the military as an undergraduate, so that when you finish, you automatically become a commissioned officer. 1. 2, even as a graduate now, supposing you have a degree now, and this will also help some of our brethren who are not originally from here. So if you are here on this, you are here and you've done a degree here, you've come from a Commonwealth country. So it's not only for citizens of Britain, it's not only for British. If you are from a Commonwealth country and you have a degree or a PhD or a master's, you also can apply to join the military, the army here, as a commissioned officer. So you go to, so when you go for, so you apply, you go for tests, for a test. Fitness test is one of them. You have to pass the fitness test. And then if you pass the fitness test, you go to what is called Sandringham, and you spend a year there. It's called the officers training for a year. And while you are doing the officers training, you get paid. You get a salary for throughout that period. I think I showed you earlier, I think 27,000 or so per year. At the end of it, you become a commissioned officer. I think in Nigeria, the equivalent is called a second lieutenant. I'm not sure what the equivalent it is here. So you become a commissioned officer, and that is the beginning of a good life for you. 1, you'll be paid as a commissioned officer. You'll be paid in commensurate to what your degree is. You will progress in your degree. And 3, when you retire, I think you can, I'm not sure of the contract years. I think the minimum you can give them is, I think 10 years, I'm not very sure. But when you finish, because you've served in the military, you have contacts to establish yourself. So if the military was going to give a contract for a software design or for high security thing, you being a whole military person and being a computer specialist, you'll be number 1 in front to get the contract. So they look after themselves. So it's a good thing, and it's very easy.
Thank you very much. So we're going to be wrapping up here. We're going to take a 5 minutes break. Our pastor will be speaking to us very shortly. I can tell you don't want to miss that. But I want to say, just to summarize this question and answer section, is that, time management is of a massive essence here. We talked about technology revolution. We have Snapchat, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have LinkedIn, we have all kind of different ways to socialize. And a lot of us indirectly spend a lot of time on this social media side without even realizing it. At the end of the week, you're so surprised that you're taking a lot of time. So intention is very, very important here. Where I read in Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 6, it talks about sowing in the morning, sowing in the evening. You don't know which of them is going to work out, and which, if both of them work out, then you make your decision prayerfully, right? And then the Bible says, whatever your hand find to do, do it with your mind. Some of us are in the right career right now, but our approach and attitude to work, approach and attitude to growing, approach and attitude to getting better at it is not very encouraging. So God wants you to be there. Don't be here. You need to be there. And if you have the Spirit of God, you have God inside of you, and God lives in you, He wants you to be the best. So I think it's time for our churches and our youth and our young adults to begin to take over certain areas in this country. It's very possible, but it's a price to pay. And the price is not to waste your time on different things that will not enhance you or help you. Sometimes some of us, the time we spend on Netflix, episode 1, series 1, and when you start episode, before you realize it, you're going to the 12th episode. Each episode sometimes about 30, 45 minutes each. Multiply that by 12, know how many hours. Sometimes some people don't even sleep in the night. Their life is so episodic, or whatever I want to call it, because they are watching and watching and watching and watching and watching. And it's not even helping your spiritual life as well. And it's not helping you to focus and plan. So one of the action plan at the end of this is that we're going to send this video, we're going to do this, but I want you to make up your mind and say, look, I need to learn something. I need to do something. I need to make sure that this event does something in my life. Even if you change your own time in your current job right now, you will never remain the same. So let's take